What's up, sports bettors? Alex here, and we're going to be going through the best bets for Monday Night Football. So, very sad, we don't have that many Monday Night Footballs left, but we have Chargers versus Colts the day after Christmas, and you can see the Chargers are roughly a 2-1 favorite. So, 2-1 favorite means 66% to win, right? They're winning 2 out of 3 games, and you can see Ballybet is offering the best line on the Chargers at minus 200. WinBet offering the best price or odds on the Colts at plus 182. So odds is kind of just like price. Like if you think about sports betting like trading stocks, the Colts, they have different prices across sports books. So it's kind of like if there were hundreds of different prices for Bitcoin. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. And you obviously always want to get the best possible price. So you want to look at all the data in the market. And at the very least, this is sports betting 101. You want to ensure you're getting the best possible odds on all of your plays, right? So if you want to bet Colts money line, you're taking them plus 182. You want to take Chargers minus 200. Now, that goes for spreads too, right? It doesn't necessarily just have to be getting better odds. It also means getting a better line. You know, if we want to take the under, you should be getting under 46 on WinBet at minus 110 as opposed to under 45 half on FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings, MGM. That's where most books are setting the line. WinBet's giving you an extra half point of value. And it may not seem like it matters, but this bet is objectively better. You know, and like I say this all the time too, but like these sports books are literally a tab click away. They take 2 minutes to sign up for, and you should get more sports books. You know, this bet is objectively better. If there's 46 points in the game, you're going to push on WinBet. Anyone who had the under 45 half will lose. And these extra points in value, you know, they make all the difference. Like I say this all the time. When you look through my Caesars account, you'll see wins, you'll see losses, you'll see winning streaks, you'll see losing streaks. You know I win long term and my plays have an edge, stuff like that, but we're not going to win every single bet. So being able to find these, extra spots of value, picking up an extra half a point, this really is what turns you from being an unprofitable sports bettor to a profitable sports bettor. You got to look at the data, you got to follow the market. So the first play I locked in, I'll show you, is from the OddsJam screen. So this tool is really useful for comparing lines set at different levels. So I'm going to go through a few plays with you. The first is right here. Zach Moss, 2 is his receptions line on Prize Picks. Underdog Fantasy, a direct competitor to Prize Picks. It's another fantasy site, as well as Betway, DraftKings, Caesars, every sportsbook basically. They have the line for Zach Moss set at 1.5 receptions. And you can get under 2 on Prize Picks. So in this case, you'd really want to take the under on Prize Picks, under 2. If Zach Moss has exactly 2 receptions, you're going to push on Prize Picks. Your bet's going to be a tie, right? So it's going to push. You're going to get, refunded, or a 3-leg parlay becomes a 2-leg parlay if you're putting it in a parlay. Whereas on every other book, you're going to lose. And again, this is what I mean by looking for value, right? Underdog has the line at 1.5, Betway 1.5, DraftKings 1.5, Caesars 1.5, and Caesars, you can notice they have the under favored, right? Caesars has the under juice. They have the under minus 121 odds, and the over is minus 113 odds. So all the books overall, they don't have much juice towards the over. Some books have the over slightly favored. Pinnacle Sportsbook, the sharpest bookmaker in the world, you can see right there, they have the under favored. So that seems like a pretty good play. So that's called the OddsJam screen, and that's really useful for like browsing lines set at different levels. Now, you can browse odds on OddsJam completely for free. Like in this current view, any market, whatever you want to look at, any game, any sport, it's completely free to browse odds. Use it as your Bloomberg terminal. And again, just like try to hunt for value. If you want to take Justin Herbert under 8.5 rushing yards, place that bet on Bovada at plus 110, best price. Seems pretty, not horrible too. Maybe if you're looking at BetMGM, they have it minus 120. You're getting plus 110, 30 cents of improvement on Bovada and Bodog. Right? So you can kind of scan around manually and look for value in the market. But a tool I like to use a lot is this positive EV betting tool. because all this tool, does for you is it kind of like scans through the market. If you think about it, on Caesar Sportsbook, even just for this one game, there's tens of thousands of things you can bet on. And this is just one NFL game. So you can imagine on a Sunday or a busy day with college football, I mean, all these alternates, like these sportsbooks have 50,000 plus lines on their site. They can't keep them all in check. So the sportsbooks are trying to make their spread, make the vig, right? And we're essentially, as sharp bettors, we're like, okay, let's hunt through the market. Let's let OddsJam hunt through the market. And the positive EV tool will just point out value, for whatever filters you set up. So you can see here, I have the specific game selected. I have 2 sports books I wanted to find bets on. And you can see the first play is Zach Moss over 59.5 rushing yards. You can get that at plus 114 on FanDuel. Caesars has this minus 117. DraftKings minus 115. WinBet has it favored minus 125. Underdog and Prize Picks have their lines there, so these are 2 fantasy sites. Barstool has the over favored. So you look at every sportsbook and it's like, dang, there's pretty good value on FanDuel at plus 114. Right? So that's the first play I ended up locking in. And what's cool about OddsJam is on top of, consolidating kind of all the data in the market, it will also take these alternate lines. So you can see FanDuel, they have these mainline markets. You can bet them over 55.5 rushing yards at minus 113. They also have these alternates. So 60 plus is plus 114, which you can see right here. And OddsJam, has all these alternate lines. FanDuel is one of the few sports books that offers you these alternate lines. So like if you're really bullish on wanting to bet, Zach Moss, you don't only have to bet him over 55 half at minus 113, like most sports books just have their main line, but you could bet him like 109.5 over in rushing yards if you wanted to, of course, but there's no value there, right? So I'm not placing it. I say that all the time, but like as a sharp bettor, I'm literally just following the value. I'm not doing anything complicated. Like I'm not going into today, Monday Night Football being like, oh, I want to bet on, the point spread. Let's find a play. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to let OddsJam scan the market and show me where the value is. Maybe it'll be in football. Maybe it'll be in basketball. Maybe it'll be in player props. Maybe it'll be on Nick Foles. Who knows? And we can see the next play right here. Player passing yards is over 229 half yards for Foles, 1.49% profit margin, right? This is under the percent column. So for whatever filters you set up, OddsJam will kind of like automatically sort to show you the highest profit margin first, but you can filter by date or whatever you want event. And you can see right here, this is your edge. It's also known as your edge in sports betting. Edge, profit margin, whatever you want to call it. Is why do we like this play, right? It's just data, BetMGM has this minus 115 odds. DraftKings minus 115. Every sportsbook has this minus 114 or minus 115, and we're getting plus 104. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points. The OddsJam column, we just copy Pinnacle's odds, right? Pinnacle's known to be the sharpest bookmaker in the world. So we have 6 sportsbooks, 6 data points, all telling us the line should be set at minus 114, minus 115. We're getting plus 104, so we're beating the vig, beating the juice. This is absolutely, right, a play we want to be on. So I ended up locking this in as well. And this brings us to another concept in sports betting, right? It's just like, first of all, this market's dynamic. You never know when, the best bets are going to occur. Line movements can occur at any time. Sharp action comes in. Weather changes, right? Like let's say, sharp action comes in and starts pounding Foles over. Is these lines may move from minus 115 to minus 120 to minus 130. This is supply and demand. People buy a stock, the price goes up, right? Bookmakers don't want a ton of exposure. They balance due to supply and demand. All the money comes in on the Chargers. They may move from minus 200 money line to minus 250, right? So it's supply and demand. So that's the first concept. The second concept is you need multiple sports books, right? These books have different odds from one another because they all want to be unique. So you treat them all as independent data points of where the line should be set, but you want as many books as possible because again, like you never know where the value is going to be on a given day. So I ended up locking in, kind of all these bets, as we can talk about. Lots of positive EV bets. So here, 87.70, and you may be like, why did you bet 87.70 on Zach Moss 60 plus, rushing yards? And this is the reason, right? This is the reason right here, is like these sports books, if you're sharp and if you're beating them, they don't let you bet an unlimited amount of money. Like you can see, if I wanted to bet on Dean Jackson, first touchdown score, FanDuel's only giving me 66.65. Right? 66.65. That's the max wager. That's also why I'd never bet on sports, full time. And people who say they bet on sports full time or they're professional sports bettors, I mean, that's awesome, but you shouldn't put too much weight into it because, again, like really people could make a lot more money, full time if they like worked at Google or something like that. Like people can do this full time for passion maybe, but like it's not something you do full time for money because these bookmakers can cut your betting limits as they realize you're sharp and sophisticated, right? And it's not the end of the world. Like I say that all the time too, is, I was able to, just for sports books that this verified bet tracker Pickett Sports is able to sync, I've been able to profit, at least at the time my pinned tweet was posted, 143.2K, 3.27% ROI. And, there's ups and downs and whatever. But this is the second play available, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sports books all telling you this play is profitable at plus 104 with the VIG removed. That's a play we want to be on. So I didn't get a betting limit on this play, so I ended up locking it in for $250. And here's our profit margins. $250, 1.49% profit margin, 373 in EV. Right? So you take your profit margin or your edge, right? So you can call this profit margin edge percent, 3.3%. You multiply it by your stake. So on FanDuel, we got limited to 87.70 on Zach Moss, 60 plus rushing yards. So I should probably change this to rushing, which means it's 289 in EV, 289 in profit margin in dollars. Same with Foles, right? You can do out the math. 1.49% times 250 is 3.73%. So you add these up. We have two, pretty uncorrelated bets. Foles passing yards doesn't really relate to Zach Moss rushing yards. And our total profit margin is 662. Again, you just take your edge percent, you multiply it by your stake. So you can think about it like, what does this number mean, total profit margin? Is if we had, if you came to me and you were like, hey, Alex, I have this $5 bill. Do you want it? I'll give you that for your bets. I would tell you no. My bets have 662 in edge or in profit margin in dollars. Right? It's kind of like if someone told you, hey, you can't invest in the stock market, and you had $10,000 and you're assuming an 8% return. Right? So if you have $10,000 in the market, you assume the market goes up 8% a year. Someone was like, hey, I'll give you $20 for your $10,000, for a loan for $10,000 for a year. You should be like, no, because I know over the course of the long run, I invest that in the market. I earn like $800 a year, right? $10,000. So you got to think about that. And what's crazy about sports betting is this, right? My ROI in 2022 was only like 3.27%. But you get these returns every day, right? Like this game's in 24 hours. It's tomorrow. So 3.3% return, 365 days in a year. I mean, you can do out the math and see how quickly the bankroll can compound. And that's why I love sports betting. That's why I grew so attached to sports betting, is these returns can compound and compound and compound. Like it's 3.3% a day. So hopefully this was helpful. Those are the two plays I locked in. I mean, I have tons of others, I'm sure. Texas, Longhorns, got some UFC, stuff like that, got PSG. But regardless, you get the point, and let's make money.